Oh yes, 1992 Lancia Delta Integrale Evoluzione Uno, a car that I have been shooting for the past 7 years, but get to film with for the very first time. Let's go on a deep dive and nerd out. All right, so I know what you might be thinking. No, it's just a Volkswagen Golf that's been wrapped in really fancy colors. But no, I assure you, this is actually a Lancia Delta Integrale Evoluzione Uno because it is certified by Lancia themselves. See, look at this right here. Boom. It is certified. Anyways, let's get to the actual car and why it is called a Martini 5. Okay, so imagine this, right? You are in the late 80s, early 90s. Lancia is dominating the World Rally Championship. 87, 88, 89, 90. 91 rolls around, comes and goes, and Lancia wins again. So what does Lancia do now? Well, of course, they're going to have to make a very special car out of the rally car that has just destroyed World Rally Championship. All right, follow along, all right? It's going to be very easy. Lancia Delta, because that's the name of the car. Integrale Evoluzione Uno Martini, notice the colors, 5, because of the 5th consecutive domination of the World Rally Championship. Boom, very easy. Lancia made it very easy. The Italians love to show off. All right, so as you can see, turbo inline 4, pushing out 210 horsepower, 220 foot-pounds of torque. That's a lot for the early 90s, late 80s. And paired with, at least for this car, a 5-speed manual and all-wheel drive. Ta-da! So we all know about the wide fender flares that come with the Integrales. However, unique to the Martini 5 are these Speedline wheels. They're 15 inches. They are homologated, part of the Martini 5 package or the homologation. And of course, to top it all off, I just like this because it's my favorite feature. This giant wing in the back. I believe you can adjust it. There are screw holes here, so I've never tried. I just shoot the way it comes out, but here you go. All right, now is this car usable? Yeah, as usable as any hatchback can be. Remember, this is still a Lancia Delta Integrale. It does have a giant trunk, enough to fit a suitcase, maybe 2. You're not gonna be able to bring all your friends' suitcase to the airport, but you know, enough to go out on the town with your family, maybe. It's weird that they have the spare tire taking up part of the trunk here, but you know, it's the Italian way. There's no room underneath the board of this trunk. Oh, whatever. So before we get out of here and do an actual real-world drive, let's go ahead and take a look at the interior and see exactly what it's like to be in one of these. So we have Recaro-made special Delta Integrale seats. Very nice stitching pattern there. And it continues on into the back seat. And if you notice, they all have these special red seat belts. Pretty fancy. I like them a lot. You don't need to get a Porsche to get red seat belts. All right, and before we get out of here, I do want to show off the interior a little bit. First, let's start the car up. Very nice. Has the nice turbo whine as it's idling here. It's a very Lancia thing and a very Integrale thing at that. Nice revving sound. You can really hear that turbo going. The pedal box is pretty small, so it is very Italian. The pedals are very close together. I guess it makes it easy for heel and toe. And because it is the late 80s and early 90s, you have all these fantastic gauges here. Gauges on gauges on gauges. You can tell whatever's going on with your car. Look at all that. Look at all the gauges. And it even tells you what door is open or if your hood and trunk are open. What a fantastic vehicle. right, so what we have here is turbo inline 4 mated with a 5-speed transmission going through all 4 wheels. Yeah, this is a great car to drive, especially here in the canyons, here in the Bay Area. A lot of fun, especially when you're going through the turns, because depending on the tires, these kind of have some all seasons that don't really stick to the road that well, but I've driven other Integrales that have great tires, and the suspension alone already inspires a lot of confidence. And to illustrate that point, and also the fun factor of this car, when I had the chance to drive an Integrale Final Edition, which is an Evo 2, and an Alfa Romeo 4C, I think Lancia Edition, back to back, despite the Final Edition being a more, an older car, a more senior car on the Italian playing field, I had a lot more fun driving the Integrale, honestly. And it's no different right now. Like, I mean, I'm stuck in traffic a little bit, but that can change, obviously. Moving off to the side of the road, how nice. Hopefully you're able to catch some of the engine noise a little bit. Ooh, I really need this. Ultima to get the hell out of the way, because I did not. All right, here we go. Finally, a little bit more. Yeah, absolutely wonderful going around the turns. Steering input's very direct. Power on the low end before boost comes on is already pretty good. We are going downhill, so I'm able to carry enough speed, but at the same time, I'm feeling the turbo finally kick in at around 3,000 RPM, 3,000, 4,000. This is where the car really likes to play. So it doesn't seem to be such a giant turbo. So again, I don't think the whole name of the game in Lancia's dominance was purely all power all the time. Like, let's say the Audi rally car, the name's escaping, the Quattro. Yeah, there we go. Almost forgot while trying to focus on the road here, but yeah, you can hear the all-season scream. I am not losing any grip at all, but it's just the tires kind of communicating to me how I'm treating it. Oops. The heel toe is a little bit off there. Gotta look. All right, let's get on the power. That's 5,000 RPM. Oh, there we go. Isn't that great? Just lovely, lovely driving. That is how this car enjoys the road, and it is fantastic. An absolute dream of a car that should be in everyone's stable, quite honestly. I've driven Lancer Evos, not at speed. I wish I could have, but I took that on a photo shoot. It just felt like a very point-and-shoot car. This is not a point-and-shoot car. It's kind of interesting in a way. Long sweepers, this car is holding it. Uphill sweepers, still holding it. The all-wheel drive system is probably working pretty hard at this point. Downshift back into third. Oh man, this is, oh. The weight transfer going from right to left, it's barely noticeable. The suspension is pretty stiff, but it's freaking great for driving in the mountain roads here. You can hear that. I hear the power of that little screaming 2-cylinder, or sorry, 2 liters, 4-cylinder engine. Woo, right up, right back into the brakes. Brakes are fantastic as well. Yep, tighter turn, don't blind, don't want to get that. Open it back up. $4,000 RPM, feel that turbo kicking in, not shifting because I know we're about to hit a stoplight here. All right, let's open it up. Down into 4th gear, back into 3rd, going into this turn. Another thing I've noticed with the transmission here is that when you say long throw, like you're really like throwing it out, especially out to 5th gear. The shifter has to work its way over, and I have to fully extend my shoulder just to get anywhere. Let's go in a second. You can feel the rally pedigree in this car. I can see why purists enjoy the Evo 1 a lot. I really appreciate this car. It's not power on all the time. That's the best part about it. You don't need to always have it be into power. You actually let it build up into it. And you don't need to have high horsepower either. I've been shooting Integrale since 2016, especially for my dear friend Marco Marini from Your Classics Cars, who has been so kind to allow me to take this for the day and just to enjoy the thrill of what early 90s technology was like. I'm quite happy with the experience. Every Integrale that I have driven has brought a sense of joy in the way that I was driving it. I believe there was just one car that felt a little bit soft for some reason, but the rest of them had this unique character where it was just super sporty all the time. And I like that. The Martini 5, while it's still just a homologated commemorative edition of the Evoluzione 1, or let's just say Evo 1. We're in America. It still has the same characteristics. I believe the interior is a little bit different. They have the Speedline, the white Speedline wheels, all that jazz, just to spruce it up a little bit. But, oh, actually, you know what? The other thing is that these seats actually belong in the Evo 2, but this was special edition just for the Evo 1, but they brought these seats over into the Evo 2. Anyways, the Martini 5 did break some necks today. A lot of people were asking, oh my gosh, is that a Lancia? Well, how they pronounce it, Lancia. It's not, it is Lancia. Lancia. I like the fact that people can recognize these cars now. They were underappreciated previously. Not a lot of people knew them. They were just old Mark 1 Golf looking cars, Mark 2, whatever. They just look like whatever hot hatches. And yet, when you see a Martini 5 rolling down the street, it immediately draws your attention. That livery isn't gaudy by any means, Porsche. It just looks nice. Looks nice to look at, paired with the white exterior. This nice gray interior, red stitching. The red seat belts are a nice complement to the car. Some people, I think, have put even the whole Martini Racing on the giant wing on the back. Not needed. You don't need to tell people it's a Martini Racing car. We have the Martini colors in the Martini pattern. You should know if you're a car person. But either way, I'm just rambling here. This car is pure driving. That's the bottom line. You may have noticed that while I've been driving this car, you really can't hear the exhaust. You've been able to hear everything else, the road noise, wind, maybe the turbo, definitely the engine. That's the funny thing about this car. There are no loud noises coming from the back. I've actually driven some Integrales that have a cat pipe. They sound great. Aftermarket exhaust, very good. Brings out the noise of the car a little bit. You need that. If you're going to own an Integrale, at least upgrade the exhaust. Not angry beehive kind of notes, but you know, something to give it more character, because Italians love character, right? They really do. If you're going to pick up an Integrale, you must get an aftermarket exhaust. Not Angry Bees type of exhaust where it rattles, shakes, tings, and makes that tinning noise and annoys the hell out of people, but you know, just one to bring out the character of this beautiful Italian car, because we all know Italians love character. Whether or not you agree with the market value of these cars, well, the market speaks for itself. There's a reason why these cars are so appreciated now, because no one appreciated it then. And yeah, maybe the people with money who are buying these may just store these away, but I hope that anyone who picks up any Lancia Delta Integrales, even a 16V for that matter, learn how to drive the car and enjoy it while they have it. It's not just like any other 911 you can pick up off the street after all. They don't make these anymore. And that's a good thing. If you survived this far into the video, I thank you so much for your support. Feel free to like the video as well as subscribe to the Bullermeister channel, where you'll catch more cool car content like this, as well as future motorcycle content. Thank you so much, and ride or drive safe out there.